Hey guys, SuperHorrorBro Mike here, and in today's video we take a look at the latest word on the street from Joey Drew Studios about their upcoming game, Bendy and the Dark Revival. Now, while things have been radio silent in terms of marketing over the past few months, creators TheMeatly and Mike Mood have been posting some interesting tweets which drop some tantalizing hints at what we can expect from our return to the studio. And in addition to analysing these morsels of information, I will also use this episode to discuss the perhaps controversial announcement that Dark Revival will launch as a full game rather than episodically, a choice which had some people scratching their heads. And finally, what can we expect from those mystery boxes in Boris and the Dark Survival? Surely that game must play a vital role in the marketing of Dark Revival at this point. Well, watch on to find out as we catch up with all things Inky in this news update video. The first order of business is new game info, so let's take a look at some suggestive tweets which reveal some exciting news. On July 16th, Mike Mood tweeted out, "Alright, so it's a hard game." And on July 17th, he followed that up with, "That leap attack." Bendy and the Ink Machine was rarely all that challenging, and when it was, it often came from frustrating mechanics, like trying to dodge Brute Boris's jump attack, which, seriously, is that even possible? Dark Revival seems to be a different beast altogether with a much higher difficulty curve from the off, and this may explain why Mike mentioned we will have the ability to save at any point during gameplay rather than having to rely on those punch-in stations. He also mentions a leap attack, and one must assume this refers to a new move in Bendy's arsenal. Bendy sounds like he will be a much greater threat than ever before, and with more intelligent AI to boot. We only really got to experience Bendy as a continuous threat in one chapter of the previous game, and even then he would simply chase us about until we found a hiding place. Now this makes interactions with him in the upcoming Dark Survival a far more exciting and terrifying prospect. On the subject of terror, Dark Survival is said to be a much scarier game than Ink Machine, as TheMeatly tweeted out here. Just to keep pushing it as sort of a warning, Bendy and the Dark Revival will be much scarier than Bendy and the Ink Machine. We didn't go crazy disgusting or anything, but there are some super tense moments and frightening scenes, just to let people know as we continue to develop the game. As a huge horror fan, I'm definitely excited to hear that the fear factor will be amped up tenfold in Bendy and the Dark Revival. But it's not just Bendy's moveset, the difficulty and scare factor of the game that are improving. A series of tweets between Mike Mood and TheMeatly suggest the entire game is to be bigger and better than ever before. I know it's unfair to say this without having anything to show, but today I am so struck with how huge a jump Bendy and the Dark Revival is compared to the original Bendy and the Ink Machine. In visuals, gameplay, characters and scares, what an exciting project to work on. Bendy and the Ink Machine looks and feels like a PS1 college project compared to what we're doing with Bendy and the Dark Revival. You'll just have to wait, sorry. Boris and the Dark Survival was definitely a last hurrah to the way we would do things. Very nostalgic. Bendy and the Dark Revival, on the other hand, an all-new ballgame of quality and a love for detail. So you can see the goal for the team is to make a much more ambitious and polished game with bigger thrills than ever before. Now there is a lot more on both TheMeatly and Mike's Twitter accounts, so go and follow along for instant updates. Back in June, a teaser trailer featuring Audrey and the shadow of Ink Bendy's new model released on the Joey Drew Studio YouTube channel. I put together a theory video at the time discussing Audrey's connection to Bendy in the upcoming game, so do check that out if you'd like to hear my thoughts on the subject. Beyond the sinister story implications this trailer presented, the chief point of its release was to highlight a key change to the game's launch strategy. Initially back in the spring of 2019, Joey Drew Studios posted this image on the Bendy Twitter, confirming that Bendy and the Dark Revival would follow in its predecessor's footsteps and release episodically, one chapter at a time. This worked very well for Bendy and the Ink Machine as it generated hype through the development process. The lead up to and release of a new chapter was an event and had the entire community talking. It was, to my mind, one of the key reasons why Bendy didn't fizzle out and continued to grow in popularity over a near 2-year period. There was art being made, theory speculation as everyone wondered where this mysterious story would take us next, and we all hung on the developer's every word. This episodic release strategy was a veritable hype machine. So why the change of heart? Well, we know that launching chapter by chapter was a stressful process for the team. Expectations from the fanbase changed daily. This is of course unavoidable when a game gets picked apart so rampantly. Mike Mood and TheMeatly now seem to want to release something that is 100% their vision from top to bottom. Something that will surprise and captivate audiences due to few preconceived expectations, and a title that will ship with a high level of polish afforded by the extra development time. In fact, both creators spoke about this decision when replying to fans on Twitter. Here are a few statements as to why Bendy will now ship as one game. The primary driver is that it's a much better and more consistent experience. Mostly, it's just a better game experience as one. From the story and gameplay to all the other creepy surprises, it's way more solid and enjoyable. When I first heard the news that Bendy would now release as a single game, I must admit I had mixed feelings. I enjoyed creating theories between chapters and anticipating what the next portion of the game would have in store for us. For me and many others, a big draw of the game world was the sense of the unknown, and getting this episode by episode was undeniably a great marketing device. That said, games are more than just marketing. They are, after all, a creative endeavour on the part of the developer. So the artistic vision for this game is believed to be better experienced as a whole. I have full confidence this choice wasn't made lightly. After all, it means Dark Revival launches later than expected, but it was obviously the right choice for the team at Joey Drew Studios and best fit the kind of game they were making and the story they wanted to tell. It will certainly be exciting to have the entire game in hand day one and to be able to find out exactly what happens from beginning to end. So I'm personally in full support of this new way of releasing Bendy, but do let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. It's also great to hear that there will still be mysteries to discuss and surprises in store after the credits roll, as TheMeatly goes on to mention in this tweet. There will be a ton of stuff to discover and discuss after you play through it once. We're so proud of how it's coming along. Finally, let's change gears and revisit Joey Drew Studios' previous game, Boris and the Dark Survival. This is an addictive dungeon looter spin-off game where Boris is tasked with visiting the lower levels of the studio to pillage supplies for his safe house. It acts as a prequel to the events of Bendy and the Ink Machine, but has also been used as a framework for introducing new characters and furthering the series' lore.
It's been quite a struggle to put this into words, Nathan. After so many years, you know I'd never ask unless it was dire.
The past so often dies without passing on its bountiful secrets. The time draws near for a dark revival to come at last.
However, Dark Survival holds some mysteries not yet solved, namely a series of boxes adorned with a question mark, which are, as of this video, locked tight. With each update to the game, for which there have been 3 to date, we received a new box. This could be an elaborate attempt to troll the community, but that seems unlikely. These boxes have to mean something, but what? Well, this is pure speculation, but my belief is that these will be used to introduce elements of the upcoming Bendy and the Dark Revival, as its release date draws nearer. Perhaps one could even hold a trailer featuring the game's release date ahead of its premiere online. We've seen such events take place in games such as Fortnite, which has featured everything from exclusive Star Wars footage to never-before-seen clips from the upcoming seasons. Joey Drew Studios may have a similar plan for marketing of their new game. One box could hold screenshots, another a trailer, and maybe even a demo at some point. Perhaps that's a little too optimistic to hope for, but you never know. Either way, Boris and the Dark Survival is a great little game if you haven't checked it out yet, so I highly recommend doing so, and preparing for the time when these boxes inevitably unlock. With all that said, we've pretty much caught up to date with all things Bendy related for now. There is of course an upcoming comic book collection launching this September, which I will check out and perhaps do a review for on the channel if you guys would be interested. Things at Joey Drew Studios are pretty quiet right now, but I do hope this video has helped tide you over, and if you have enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, comments down below, and of course subscribe for more horror related content. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.